What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and the release of Overwatch's next hero is growing ever closer. So continuing the hype of trying to predict who or what this new hero will be, I'm doing more hero identity predictions. But while I talked about who I think it could be in my previous video, which you can check out through the card on screen, here I'm going to talk about who I think it couldn't be. While the Overwatch universe features a number of cool, lovable characters, by no means do I think all of them hold playable hero potential. So today, I want to talk about who I don't think will make the cut, but also explain my reasoning as for why. Without further ado, let's jump right on in. To start, we have a number of characters that I see being thrown around and speculated about from time to time. These first several I'm going to list are all ones that, in my opinion, have less than a 1% chance of happening. The reason I say 1% instead of 0 is that this is Blizzard we're talking about, so technically anything could happen. First up though is Athena. As most people already know, Athena is the AI who serves as the announcer during standard Overwatch matches, and also happens to be Winston's assistant as seen in the Recall cinematic. Speculation for her becoming a hero mainly seems to stem from this early image, where we can see a robot who possesses the same A logo on their head that we see being used to represent Athena, along with a quote from Michael Chu regarding the character. From the beginning, we had this idea that we wanted the announcer to be a character, and not just the random voice of God. We really wanted her to be a character, and so the first way that we were able to evidence this was in the Recall short. And yeah, that's where she is, right now. However, while many people assumed this meant that Blizzard was interested in making her into a playable hero, I'm fairly certain that's not what he meant. Someone doesn't need to be a playable hero in order to be a proper character. I'm pretty sure that Chu just wanted Athena to have an identity beyond just that of an anonymous, informative voice who helps players understand what's going on in a match. And to that extent, she is. She's an AI assistant of some kind who helps Winston. While I would love to learn more about her as a character, I don't think she'll ever be a playable hero. Having the same voice for both an announcer and one of the heroes would just be confusing. And as for the robot character we see here, well, it seems that she originated as a hero concept before Blizzard decided to make her the announcer. One of the original concepts Blizzard has revealed is called Iris, and has a strong visual similarity to the robot seen in the hero lineup. Moving on to another unlikely hero, we have Antonio Bartolotti. Now, the biggest reason as for why he more than likely won't become playable one day is that he's dead. But given that a number of other Overwatch heroes have been dead, only to return in one fashion or another, I can see why some people might assume that Antonio somehow survived, and thus could one day be a hero. However, I think this actually lends to him not making a comeback. Resurrecting too many important characters can drastically undermine the significance of death in a story. Even though Blizzard got a voice actor and made a character model for him, retconning his death, which was a huge plot point in the Retribution storyline, would likely feel pretty bad, and also would undermine much of the story and character development which took place during that event. Next up though, we have Lynx 17. While I certainly enjoyed their character design and personality in the Searching comic, Lynx just doesn't seem like a character that would have a place in game. Given that they're a hacker, I have a hard time thinking of how their abilities could differentiate enough from Sombra in order to justify adding them as another hero. On top of that, they already served a very specific and now fulfilled purpose in the comic, which was to help Zarya track down Sombra while also forcing her to question her prior thoughts regarding Omnix. Blizzard could very easily expand on this purpose and give Lynx more to do as a character in the Overwatch universe, but until that happens, I'm not going to be holding my breath. In a similar style as Lynx 17, we have Sven from the Destroyer comic. I've seen speculation about him becoming another builder hero of some kind, like an evil Torbjorn. And while I think it's possible for us to get another builder, once again, I just don't feel that recycling a character like him would be necessary. He served his purpose in in the comic, so unless Sven somehow fits perfectly for Blizzard's image of a new hero down the line, I really don't expect them to bring him back. Real quick before I move on, I'm sure somebody will bring up Brigitte and how she was originally just in a comic too. However, the difference between her and these other two is that she has had several appearances across multiple comics and other media, including being mentioned in an in-game voice line. By comparison, Lynx and Sven have each had one appearance and served a very specific and self-contained role in those instances. Next, we have Jetpack Cat. While I understand that Jetpack Cat has been a meme for quite a while now, I think it's important to clarify what exactly he was. The only reason we ever even found out about his existence in the first place was from the Overwatch devs using him as an example of a hero concept that ultimately got scrapped due to being just too absurd. While we did get a number of teasers and nods towards Jetpack Cat during Brigitte's release build-up, these seemingly were all just fan service due to how hyped the character had become by that time. But unlike Doomfist, I don't think any amount of hype will be enough to convince Blizzard to add him to the game, as overall, I think he's just a little too out there. And now, for the next characters I'm going to discuss today, we have two who I think could maybe become playable heroes, but I still consider them to be highly unlikely. The first of these is Harold Winston. The only reason I give him any more credence than the previously mentioned characters is that despite the fact that he's presumably dead, there have been a number of clues which seem to point towards him. While I've already discussed them in great detail in past videos of mine, things such as his spacesuit missing on Horizon, the mysterious wheelchair in the office with his photo on Lijiang Tower Control Center, and even the recently updated news ticker on Night Market, which mentions that the current CEO of Lucheng Interstellar was once a moon-based scientist, all seemingly are tied to Harold. However, at the same time, he suffers from the exact same issue as Antonio, which is that he should be dead. While it's never explicitly stated that Harold died, it's heavily implied through Winston's backstory, the Recall cinematic, and the Horizon map release video. And even more severely than any of the story issues which pertain to Antonio's resurrection, Harold's presumed death was a huge part of Gorilla Winston's backstory. The loss of his father figure was an important part in shaping who he became, and especially in his decision to abandon Horizon and return to Earth. This alone is enough to make me second guess the clues on Horizon and Lijiang Tower, but even more so is the fact that these same clues could actually be hinting at a couple other possible heroes, two of which I mentioned in my previous new hero predictions video. However, given the possibility of Harold making a return, despite how much I don't want to see it happen and don't think it will, I thought I should address it nonetheless. And finally, we have the character that so many people have been talking about for almost a year now, and that's Maximilian. While he's absolutely one of the more intriguing non-hero characters we currently know of in the Overwatch universe, I do not believe we'll see him become playable, at least not anytime soon. The main reason for this is that, well, he by no means appears to be a fighter. Being a super classy casino owner, everything we know about him so far indicates that he's the type who sits back and observes, rather than physically taking action. I mean, honestly, can you imagine how ridiculous it would look to see this guy running around a battlefield? That would feel entirely outside of his character. Now, I suppose there are some ways around this. For example, he could pilot some kind of mech, or maybe even utilize drones on the battlefield. That would allow him to be playable in some fashion, but without needing to get his suit dirty. However, this still doesn't feel convincing. Compared to someone like Sanjay, who I talked about in my previous video, it just seems like Maximilian already has a fairly strong presence in the story of Overwatch. We already have a good feel for his personality and interests, which is something that Blizzard has always kept much more vague with new heroes prior to their release. And perhaps the most condemning evidence of all is the fact that a player icon for him was already added to the game as part of the 2018 Retribution event, boasting the same naming theme and art style well as all the other hero portrait player icons, the fact that this was added as part of a limited time event seems to imply that, at the time of Retribution, Blizzard was not planning to add him as a future hero, and given how long it takes to design a hero from start to finish, this means we likely won't see Maximilian playable in-game anytime soon, even if they do end up changing their minds. Now, I will mention with regards to Maximilian, or really any of the non-dead heroes I talked about, that things can change. Blizzard could reveal more about them to indicate hero potential, or in the case of characters like Lynx and Sven, give them more than just one brief appearance across the entirety of Overwatch's game and other media. But for the time being, I don't believe we'll see these characters I talked about today make it onto the roster at this point in time. But given that I'm sure many of you will have colorful words to disagree with me, let me know your own thoughts about all this in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think regarding these characters or any others. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and share it with a friend if you really liked it. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to both help out my channel and keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.